Well, I think we know now, Alex, that Terrence Bradley exchanged texts with Ashley Merchant, she's Mike Roman's attorney, where he offered up a bunch of information about the relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. Today, he is trying to walk that back and say that he didn't have any personal knowledge, including when the relationship started, he never saw them together, that any knowledge he had about the relationship came from a single conversation with Nathan Wade. But the defense is trying to establish you knew that this woman represented a defendant in the Fulton County RICO case. You knew why she was asking you these questions. She even gave you a draft of her motion to disqualify. And if there had been something patently false in there, you're a lawyer. You would have told her as much, wouldn't you? And he at one point said, well, I can't say I would or I wouldn't have. But they have established that he fully understood what they were doing with the information that he provided, and that he has an obligation to tell the truth today. And the bottom line, Alex, is there really is no in-between. He was either lying and or speculating when he confessed to Ashley Merchant by text, or he is covering up for D.A. Willis and Nathan Wade now.
I feel bad for this guy. This poor guy, this Terrence Bradley, he's in the running for the award for please, please don't make me do it face, or I don't want to be here face for sure. And guys, you already know. He testified yesterday, and I got sucked into it again. I wasted an entire afternoon just willing the guy to have the courage to just open up and tell the truth, which he did not. But I think that he probably said enough. And it's funny because there's a lot of liberals in our chat, our friends, our liberal friends, and they know where I stand on this deal. And where I stand is I believe that it should be clear to just about anyone who still has two brain cells to rub together that Fani Willis does not have a mountain of unexplainable cash in her house, and she is guilty of perjury. But it's funny, man, listening to these people who are essentially taking a victory lap because they believe that prosecutorial corruption was covered up and obscured in court. And just think about that for just a moment. The whole no one is above the law crowd is happy that someone that is on their same perceived tribalist side is going to get away with a crime, or may get away with a crime. I mean, pretty remarkable stuff when you really break it down to the ones and zeros, right? But anyway, so Bradley, a lot of people don't realize, he's the guy that started all this. His confession of what he knew to the defense team is what started every bit of this investigation, every single one of these hearings, and all this entire drama. He started it, and for whatever reason, he just wasn't able to bring it to the just conclusion in court. But like I said, remember the burden. All they have to show is an appearance of conflict. And I believe that he said enough to do that.
When you told me that their relationship started when she left the DA's office and was a judge in South Fulton, where did you obtain that knowledge from?
I was speculating. I didn't have no one told me I was speculating.
No one told you that?
No one told me that.
You were speculating based on things that had been told to you or things you had observed?
So I'm going to object as to the nature of this line of questioning, because the witness has made it clear he was speculating as to how or what he knew. And if it's speculation, it's inadmissible before this court.
All right, but the motivations for his reason for speculating would be admissible, so I'll overrule that.
Thank you, Judge. Was this speculation, when you told me that, was that based on things that had been told to you and things that you had witnessed?
I never witnessed anything.
Okay.
So, it was speculation. I can't tell you anything specific, if that's what you're asking.
From Ms. Merchant.
Yes.
As the attorney for a co-defendant.
Yes.
And she's asking you about the relationship. And she's clearly asking you about the timing. Why wouldn't you just have said in response, I don't know when it started?
I don't know why I didn't say I don't know.
Maybe, again, it's because you know what the truth is, and that's why you answered exactly the way you did in Defense Exhibit 26, correct?
No, I can't sit here and tell you that what you just stated was correct.
Right. What you want the court to believe, and you want the rest of us to believe, is that for some unknown reason, upon being asked a direct question about when the relationship started, you decided on your own to simply speculate and put it down in a text message as opposed to putting down what you actually knew. That's what you want the court to believe, correct?
That was a lot. So can you break that down? I apologize. You're asking me, do I want the court to
believe that instead of saying nothing, you decided on your own to speculate.
Yes, I speculated. Yes, I've stated that I speculated. Yes, sir.
Right. That's what you want the court to believe, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now,
You know, Merchant, I thought that she sort of struggled through getting Bradley to talk. And I don't know if that's probably because they're friends and he does have the award-winning "Don't Make Me Do It" face, so maybe that played on her. But the other attorneys, I think, came at the guy pretty hard, and I believe that they made the court realize just how ridiculous his recollection problems and excuses actually sound. You know, he's the whistleblower. Don't forget, he is the whistleblower. He's the reason that they're all there, and he's making the whole situation just look so incredibly ridiculous. He's making it look so silly that even career apologists in the mainstream media, they aren't even buying this stuff anymore.
Colleague and friend, CNN anchor, senior legal analyst Laura Coates. Laura, so bottom line, do you think the witness, Mr. Bradley, do you think his testimony has undermined Fani Willis's credibility?
I think it has undermined the credibility of the arguments made by both Nathan Wade, and also Fani Willis for these reasons. First of all, here's why we're here. This person, you may recall, was already called to testify about a week and a half ago. The reason he left is because of the attorney-client privilege. Now, you know, if you are actually communicating with your attorney in furtherance of getting legal advice, it is privilege, and that privilege belongs to the client, not the attorney. The judge had what was called an in-camera discussion. That's a fancy way of saying, you and I are going to talk one-on-one with no one present. I'm going to determine whether or not your conversations that you had should fall within that privilege. The judge made a ruling. They said, look, as it relates to communications about whether there was a relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, that ain't privileged. You can testify to it. He doesn't want to be here for that reason. So now he's being asked questions about that. And now he's got a kind of convenient amnesia. He doesn't recall a lot of different details. He comes across as somebody who was gossiping with the attorney that's bringing this disqualification proceeding, that he was aware that the motion was about gathering information. And nonetheless, he disclosed that he says that they were engaged in a relationship earlier than they said. But now today he says it was all speculation, all speculation. He had no personal knowledge. And he kept using a phrase, anything I learned was from my client, which became synonymous with Nathan Wade was the one who told me. Now, there was a really important moment with Sadow. That is the attorney for Donald Trump. Remember, this is the one who is saying, look, I don't believe anything you have to say. He asked him, wait a second, you're speculating? You were asked by an attorney that you knew was representing a co-defendant in this case, and in return you offer speculation. Why not just say, if you really didn't know, I don't know? He offered no sound explanation as to why. The judge seems throughout this entire proceeding a little impatient compared to the first time we saw this entire thing. Why? Because he wants them to focus on the specific nature of the testimony. And remember, Jake, we're all here not because this is some sort of Real Housewives episode or we are just nosy. It is because they're asking to disqualify Fani Willis based on a conflict of interest that would make a defendant impossible to have a fair trial.
That is the smartest I have ever heard that woman sound. And she is absolutely right. I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but she's right. And she actually caught things that I really didn't catch when I was watching it. He did answer some questions with, if I were to know that, it would only be learned from my client, which is pretty interesting stuff. I mean, take from that what you will. But she is absolutely right. You know, everyone in the courtroom could see right through every word that poor guy said. So, you know, who knows? What's next? I don't know. Has the judge heard enough? I would think so. You know, will he admit the cell phone information onto the record or into the record that shows that Nathan Wade and Fani Willis shared 2,000 calls and 12,000 texts all before they testified that their relationship even began? And just to frame that in some sort of perspective, I don't think I've had 2,000 calls or 12,000 texts with my entire extended family and all my friends combined over the last 5 or 10 years. I don't think so. But these people, I think they've got to be, that's true love, man. That's real true love. But I can't imagine talking to anybody that much. So I'm guessing that goes into the record. Closing arguments are supposed to be on Friday, and unless something crazy happens and, old Fani wants to try and perjure her way through explaining the phone data, there won't be any more testimony, but we'll see. And we'll see what happens. Remember, guys, they don't have to prove that there was concrete conflict. They just have to prove that there is the appearance of a conflict of interest, and that's a wrap. I think the best case for the DA is that she's disqualified on the grounds of an appearance of conflict, and she gets to escape perjury charges, she gets to escape disbarment, she gets to escape losing her job. But anyway, that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't already, make sure to be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.